So if you're not already aware, our hospital system needs some work, especially the mental health unit. I've got conflicting feedback because my last stay turned out to be good in the end. I feel the care I received was sufficient. It's what I saw that's not okay. And some of what I experienced. To start, when I first went into the hospital in my most recent stay, they started me out on olanzapine. And somewhere between the beginning and when I had my tribunal, they switched me to risperidone. Unbeknownst to me, right? So needless to say, I sounded like an idiot when asked about my medication in my tribunal. I did have to stay additional time because of not winning the tribunal. So that was one bad where I was concerned. I watched a diabetic. I learned that he was a diabetic. Eat ice cream after ice cream after ice cream after ice cream and make a terrible mess of it while he's at it. So essentially just set up to kill himself. Nursing staff was nearly non-existent on the floor on a regular basis. There was even one day in particular, I recall walking the circle and there was not a nurse to be had. There was nobody sitting on the intersection where they sometimes will sit and chat. There was nobody. And all of us, I mean, we were almost a full house at that point. I think there were 3 empty beds in the ward where I was staying, but all the beds on the floor were taken and no nursing staff to be seen. I was in admiration because I thought it was such an adorable act, but when analyzing, I watched another patient shave an older patient that needed help with shaving, but the fact that they allowed a razor against another patient's throat seems wrong in the mental unit. But it was allowed. There had even, like, in addition to the nursing staff being available, there was a note even placed on the window of the desk stating only 1 request per hour. I don't know what was up with that. I guess they're overworked. I don't know. It was quite something. The seclusion room is used more like a timeout. It's, I don't think, used in the way that it should be used. There was a patient that was yelling, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe," but he's yelling it over and over and over and over again for about an hour straight, so obviously he was breathing. But because he was becoming an annoyance, he was put on seclusion, and he remained there from, it was right around supper time till sometime the next morning. They had to clean up the beds and everything because, of course, he shit himself, and I mean, that's uncalled for. That's completely uncalled for. And thinking of cleanliness, again, I mean, yes, it's the patients that are making the mess, but that unit was a complete disgrace. It wasn't until after my tribunal that I saw regular cleaning staff come in and start cleaning the unit on a more consistent basis. I mean, don't get me wrong, they got their work cut out for them. So I can understand the frustrations there, but there's no need for it to have been in the shape that it was. The kitchen is always a disaster, and the washroom that's also available for visitors is it reeked of urine all over the seat, all over the floor. It was disgusting. Patients just kind of run free and use it at their own will. So there's things that could use some work. I guess there was another incident with me. Just kind of reading through my notes here. At one point, they asked about my bowels, which hadn't been working properly, so they gave me an aid to help. And there was absolutely zero follow-up. Nobody checked in to see how I was doing after that. I guess they felt I was of sound mind enough to reach out if I needed help. I don't know. To me, if you touch on something, you follow up, especially in these circumstances. And I wrote a note here too that it seems that doctors and nurses decide rather than analyze what a patient's condition is. It's still science, and somehow that seems to be forgotten. You study the patient. Every one of us are different. The staff have a sense of humor, which is all fine and good. But there was another circumstance where one patient, he has a bit of a lopsided eye, and he just, his head almost even seems slightly, could be just because of the eye, I'm not sure, but seems slightly deformed. But they literally sat in front of him making a Goonies reference. Hey, you guys. It just about knocked me over when I heard it. I'm just like, whoa. It's one thing for you to laugh, do that at the after party, you know what I mean? Not in front of your patients. Some are, I don't know. I guess I'm on the fence to a certain degree, because there's another nurse that literally was loud about the fact of one of them shitting himself or what have you, but some bluntness, I think, yes, is good. I definitely think some bluntness is good, but I don't know. There needs to be some type of conversation behind this, I think. Hospital's a no smoking zone. I happen to know for fact that the nurses smoke on unit, at least during the rain. And regular checks. There's not always regular checks. On the night of the 22nd, I had taken note that between 9 and 12, there was nobody that come down and checked the rooms, and normally they check anywhere between every 15 minutes and every half hour, but between 9 and 12, no checks. And just the night before being discharged, there was a newer patient in the ward where I was, and she attempted to take her life. I happened to hear her cough and sputter after she was attempting to drown herself in the bathroom, and I reported that to a nurse, and hours went by before another check was done in our unit. So again, work needs to be done. Some type of, I don't know, something needs to be done. And they've changed a lot about the way patients see the outside. You now have to have somebody accommodate you. I don't know what their happening was. Something happened that caused that they don't get to leave on their own anymore when they get a day pass or what have you. But there were two gentlemen that had been there more than 50 days with not a day outside. That's not okay. That's not okay. Something needs to be done there. When you talk mental health, they talk about how getting outside is primary. You know what I mean? Exercise is primary. None of that happens. I worked for Canadian Mental Health, so I know that that's right in the lineup of what you need to do for yourself, right? I guess that kind of sums up what I took for notes, but I get that it's not an easy job. I get it. I do. I get it. I understand. I see some of what goes on, and I certainly wouldn't want to handle it myself, but I never chose to be in that field of work. There needs to be more training, perhaps, more maybe mock shifts, give you examples of what you're going to come up against and be prepared. There's got to be something, because I don't think the one yelling, I can't breathe, should be on seclusion. I think the woman trying to take her life should be the one on seclusion. It's, I don't know, a lot of work. So that is our St. John Regional 4D North. How about other hospitals? How are you guys making out?